Okay, so today I'm going to do a six movie review, I think, on this video because I have not had time. So I'm going to do a quick talk on a lot of these movies, which I don't have a whole lot to say about. So I feel like this is warranted that I'm not doing them single videos. But the movies I will talk about today, I will show off right now, would be The Vampire Lovers, Love at First Bite, and The Haunted Palace, Tower of London, both Vincent Price movies, and Airport 75, which are not horror movies. They're suspense movies from the 60s and 70s. But first off, I'm going to talk about, because I got these from Scream Factory recently. I got The Vampire Lovers, um, which is a vampire movie about a lesbian vampire who goes around and she tries to get this one girl, um, while everybody's realizing that she's doing this. Um, and it has Peter Cushing as well in it as a general. So it's cool to see, um, seeing Peter Cushing in this, and it's cool to see another Hammer horror movie. But um, with the Vampire Lovers, I never was fully invested in it or very interested in it. Like, it stinks because it's one of those movies where you look at it from all the horror movies I've seen. It's hard to really find a lot to love about it. I thought it was serviceable. I thought it had some cool effects. I liked the main lead. I thought that she was really interesting in how she's just this horny vampire and she's trying to get this young girl, and I thought that that was entertaining. Um, but if I had to say overall, this movie is not one that I'm going to really rewatch much. But I'm glad I own it. I'm glad I saw it. It's not a bad movie. It's just a movie that I'm really not going to remember much about. Like, I thought it was totally serviceable. Um, so the Vampire Lovers, and then the second movie I'm going to talk about, which I watched last night, was Love at First Bite, which stars George Hamilton and about Dracula, but he's trying to find a woman, and it's from 1979, and it's pretty funny. I actually did like this one a lot. Oh, and real quick, I have seen Once Bitten. I have not reviewed that on this channel. I might review that one day, but today I'm just talking about Love at First Bite. I will rewatch Once Bitten sometime, but this is the one I'm going to talk about today. Um, Out of this two pack. So, like I said, Love at First Bite, George Hamilton. I thought that this one was really fun. I genuinely did enjoy this one. It made me laugh a lot with the line reads that these actors get. They actually had a lot of great sets of line reads in this. Like, I expected this one to be way less funny than what it was. And there are some great lines. For example, there's one character who is a vampire talking to another vampire, and the vampire says to her, like, "Oh, you gotta be able to stay up at night and just do stuff at night." And the girl, who's a vampire as well, says, "Oh, that's great because I can't get my shit together before 10 in the morning." Like, jokes like that are good. There's a joke at this funeral home where all of these people are at a funeral, and the preacher is like, "You'll never see them rise again," and then you see Dracula rises out of his thing, and it's really funny, and it's got good jokes. And also, Dracula is fighting against Van Helsing, but his name isn't Van Helsing because he changed it for business purposes. Like, those things are funny about this movie, and I did like Love at First Bite. I'm glad that I saw this one. This one I liked a lot more than I expected, and it was just really genuinely funny and fun. Um, Now, these two, out of this two pack I got from MGM Midnight Movies, two Vincent Price movies. The Haunted Palace I watched like a month ago, and I totally forgot to review it. So bear with me. But The Haunted Palace is about Vincent Price, and he is the successor of a previous owner of this castle 100 years ago. And the plot of this is that all of the people who have died are taking over the people who are alive now. Like, they're trying to make themselves reborn into these new people, and it's interesting. I liked it, but I thought that it wasn't super. like I didn't really feel like I was invested throughout, but I thought that it had some okay moments about it. Vincent Price, as usual, is good. Um, but even his performance here, I think, is a little less memorable. Tower of London, I think he's got a way more memorable performance. But the Haunted Palace, there's not really much I could say about that one. I just thought it was whatever. It was fine. But the Tower of London, I liked a lot. Now, this one is about a king, Vincent Price, who, or a soon-to-be king, but then is wrongfully not the king. So he starts murdering off his family, and they start haunting him back, and that's really fun. And I really like the idea of that. And Vincent Price has a great performance in Tower of London. I really, really dug it. And it's also in black and white too. Um, Not really a thing to point out, really, but like I think that's cool. But his performance in it is great and entertaining. I like that more than the Haunted Palace, which, like I said, was whatever. And then the last two movies that I watched were Airport and Airport 75, which, like I said, are not horror movies. They're suspense action thrillers. The first one stars George Kennedy and is about a plane that is stuck in the landing because of the snow, and there's another plane that's coming down, but there is a bomber, a suicide bomber, this normal man. Well, he's not normal because he's a suicide bomber, but you know what I mean. He's this husband of a wife that he wants to give life insurance to because she was wrong for life insurance. So like he's gonna commit suicide and blow up the plane. Um, and that I think is interesting. And in terms of the plot, I think that's interesting. I think I'm mixing the two up now that I think about it. I watched them both at the same time, Airport and Airport 75. Um, Wait, actually, no, I'm right. Airport 1 is about the suicide bomber. Airport 2 is about the piece of gear that breaks open the plane. So the second one didn't have a villain. So this first one was the villain. So the suicide bomber was this one. But this one, the first Airport, I thought was interesting. It wasn't super entertaining. I think that in terms of pacing, for me personally, the second one, Airport 75, I liked a lot more. Um, the first Airport was good. It was way longer. It was like 2 hours, 20 minutes. And the second one was like an hour and like 45 minutes. And you can definitely tell a difference with that because the first one is a slow build and trying to build up on these characters. And it is, for the most part, interesting. Um, but really, the first Airport is fine, but there's not much else to say about that one. But Airport 75, I really like. So this one has, again, George Kennedy, and it has Karen Black as a stewardess who has to fly the plane, who's never flown a plane before, because a shrapnel destroys the front of the plane, and she has to survive it with all the people on board. And I really dug it. Like the first one, like I said, the first Airport was good, but it was way slower and way less interesting. But this second one, I thought, did a good job of really, really with the characters and with the action. Like I really dug the second one more. I like Karen Black a lot. I thought she was great in this. Like I said, George Kennedy's back in it, and he's good. You even have Linda Blair in this. Speaking of horror alumni, this is 1975, so she did The Exorcist year or two before. So it's cool to see her in this as well. And it's funny watching Airport 75 because I've seen the movie Airplane and Airplane 2 so many times. Airplane is like one of my favorite comedies. I know that they were spoofing the airport movies and Airplane, but this airplane movie, this airport movie, Airport 75, is really spoofed in Airplane. You got Linda Blair as the girl who is disabled, and the nun who sings the song, and they do the same thing in Airplane, which is really a funny scene in Airplane. And this one really does get spoofed more out of the two in the movie Airplane, which I love. And this is not an Airplane review, but I love that movie. It's one of my favorite comedies ever. But I of course had to notice I had to notice the starting points of the references to Airplane, like because of all the stuff that they've got in this movie. But yeah, I thought that Airport 75 was quicker paced in a good way, more interesting, more action packed. And I liked it more than the first Airport, which the first Airport was fine, but second Airport, Airport 75, I think it was way better. I have not seen the other sequels. I think there's one from 77. I think there's one from, I can't remember the other one. There's four of them. But I did like the first two. So I do want to watch the other one sometime, but we'll see when I can. It's not like a high priority, but I did have fun with those airport movies. So yeah, like I said, pretty much all I can do on these reviews for the Vampire Lovers, which like I said it was okay. It wasn't anything super special. It was an okay Hammer horror movie. Love at First Bite I liked a lot more. Way funnier, way more interesting. Or I mean, way more of an interesting movie. Tower of London I liked a lot. Haunted Palace I was like whatever about. So and the airport movies I thought were fun. So I feel like I got a lot out of this, like in terms of movies in this video that I did like or really like. So I'm glad that there weren't any that I outright disliked. Um, but yeah, pretty much that's all I can say about these. I'm glad I could just review all these at once because just been busy. So yeah, so that's it for today. I've got more reviews coming up like usual. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.